Okay. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Minister's not here. Let's just take a moment of silence. Okay. I know it is time for any announcements.
I do actually have an announcement today. So Portage County Township Association has a scholarship award. So this is really good for our residents, our students that are getting ready to graduate. This scholarship that the Portage County Township Association is offering is unique because it can be used for college or trade schools. So any resident in Brimfield Township is eligible to apply for this. The application deadline is going to be, what's in here? I believe it's May 1st. May 1st. And you're going to send that to the Portage County Scholarship Award to the Township Association. Holly, I'll send it to you so we can post it online so people have access to it. But they're offering a $500 scholarship so it can help with trade school. It was one way that we wanted to try to give back to the townships of Portage County, to the youth, especially those that are looking to get into the trades to help offset some of those costs for any school that they want to do.
Okay. So you got it? No. Okay. So we have no scheduled meeting, yes, right? Okay. The minutes. Okay. So we got 2 minutes that we have to approve. We have one for 2/21/24. That was bid openings. So we need to allow that.
Yes, I'll make a motion to approve the 2/21/2024 bid opening meeting minutes.
I'll second that for discussion. John, did you get my phone call yesterday?
I did. I'm gonna listen to the tape, make sure that it's right.
Okay, we changed that? All right, thank you.
All those in favor, Mike? Abstain. Sue?
Yes,
Nick? Yes.
Motion passed. Okay, then we also have a 2/21/24 regular meeting.
I'll make that motion.
I'll second that.
All those in favor, Mike? Abstain. Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed. Okay, has everyone also had a chance to go through the agenda? Make sure, is there any additions, deletions?
I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as presented.
Okay, I'll second that.
Any discussion, department has any changes?
I had one change. I need to remove under new business item B, biomed intern. He emailed me this morning and said he got a different internship, so.
Where is that?
B1?
C1?
Yes.
Yeah, 2, B as in boy, then 1, biomed intern. Okay.
That it?
Yep.
Okay,
So I'll move to amend the agenda for that removal as part of my motion.
I'll second that. All those in favor, Mike? Yes. Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed. Thank you. I am going to make a motion to approve the purchase orders.
Second.
Okay. All those in favor, Mike? Yes. Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed. Okay, I'm going to make a motion to approve the warrants. Need a second?
I'll second that.
All those in favor, Mike? Yes. Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed. Okay, full house here. So this is the time we do public comments and questions. Remember, you got a 3-minute limit, and Holly's great at keeping track of time. So, who wants to be first?
I'll go first.
How you doing?
Joseph Menendez.
He raised his hand.
Oh, sorry.
Want to give your name? and-
Hello, Kevin Sally, 4445 Benson Road, right up the street. Here for the same thing, right next door, 4445, 4459 Benson Road. So anyway, an update for what I've been down here for before. So the campers have left for now. When it was, the male camper was ID'd as having, issues with, Stark County, but they didn't come and get him, but he went to hit somewhere else. The owner was, served a warrant and, he got his, charges dismissed somehow after spending time with our friends, in the sheriff's department. And it continues to be a big junkyard over there. They keep driving more and more stuff in there and don't really see any kind of thing going on with rebuilding the burned out house. They did move in another, RV the other day, so now there's 2 RVs and a camper there, and they're getting that one ready to, for people to live in. So I don't know what we can do, but, it seems when stuff like that's going on in the township. By the way, for those of you that don't know, I've lived here 32 years. And I've had it. I need some help. And I've got some help. But this is I don't know how we go about worrying about other things in the township if we're gonna let this kind of stuff go on. So please,
I just want to add some stuff. I went over there and met him and looked at the place. It's a dump. It is totally a dump. And they had extension cords run from the burned out house. And all I heard was something. I did talk to the chief about it, and I asked him about why this guy that had a warrant wasn't arrested. And the chief told me, tell me if I'm wrong, that unless Stark County wants them to hold you, right?
Yeah, the entering agency has to make the pickup on the warrant. If they decline to make the pickup, then they're just advised.
Right. So, I think, as the board, I guess the only teeth we really have would be zoning.
Yeah,
for the
right,
most part.
and right now, so he applied for a demo permit on the house and the structure, and he wants to demo it himself. The problem that we have with that, and we gave it to our attorney, both prosecutor and our private attorney, to look into, because on the county recorder's office, he's not listed as the owner. It's his mother. So we don't have any, hold on, give me 1 second. We don't have any evidence that he is the owner of the property, and he's gonna have to supply either something from, in the will, or he went through probate or something to obtain the house, because we can't just issue him a demo with not, some kind of documentation showing that who's the owner of the house. But that's where we're at. We contacted building as well, so they're aware of that. Building has stated that he can, since it's a residential structure, he can demo it himself. As long as they're licensed and bonded or whatever. I don't know Portage County's rules, but I can tell you that the only way we can issue that is when it's the owner and they sign off on it.
But what about all the motorhomes being dragged back there?
We sent violation letters.
So would that would go to his mother?
Believe it or not, it goes to her. Yeah, it goes to that house on her name, because she's the listed owner on the property and she's deceased. So.
Yeah, I really feel for this guy because, he has a wife that's there alone. He works in the evening. And there's so many drugs and stuff going on over there.
Yeah.
It's like a mini Woodstock without the music. It's just, for him to have to put up with that crap is just terrible.
We're doing whatever we can.
Right.
We've got 2 attorneys involved. We have the health department, the building department, fire department's been involved with it. We're doing
I
everything
know you
we
guys
can.
are doing your due diligence. Rootstown pulled the electric meter, and he threw it back on there and pulled up. He had a ramp. He moved the ramp up so no one could see it was hooked up back up there.
We're at 4
So then-
minutes.
Huh?
We're at 4 minutes, just so you know.
Okay. Well, I can talk 10 minutes. No, I'm kidding. No, so really, we got it. Whatever we can do to help him, I truly feel for him. I try to keep in touch with him. And he would let me know, because I know, Ohio Edison or whoever showed up and finally took the meter.
Yep.
So just so you all know where it is, and, you know, and Kevin will definitely, if any of you want to see it, because sometimes seeing is believing.
Oh, I've been by it.
So, yeah, it's terrible for any
I've
of
been
our
by it.
residents have to put up with that stuff. So thanks, but just, you know, like I said, keep me informed. 'Cause
I will.
You see more than I do.
I appreciate it. Everybody have a great day.
You too, thank you. Hey, Joe?
Hello. My Joseph Menendez, my address is 1293 Thomas Road, I'm Joseph Street. I'd like to speak on section 2, number 5 of the zoning development. That no temporary use permits, they want to add that no temporary use permit should be issued for a vacant lot. So I've heard my name come up in meetings for 5 or so years. It's always been something different, and it's always been Clyde and the Brimfield Family Restaurant bringing these things up. First, there was no regulation at all over food trucks or anything of the sort. That's fair. You guys said that you wanted a way to regulate. Okay, so we made a license. That has been used to step more and more regulation, despite us not doing anything different. It's never going to end. This is just something more to target small businesses. And Mike, you started a restaurant. You realize that the beginning is like the hardest part. It's really hard to get started.
I was really excited because you're building the building.
Oh, we are building a building, but this shouldn't affect me now.
No.
We're good. But this affects everyone that wants to do what we did. It'd be like me pulling up the ladder behind me after we did something that worked well. I listened to the meeting minutes and I heard that I think it was something like, we don't want another Joe's Barbecue. You guys should want businesses like mine, from like local people who build a thing.
Can anybody say that?
It was towards the end. It was in the audio. I was brought up as the example that this would apply to.
We don't have it. I'm not so sure which one you're talking about.
It was the meeting, I watched the video, it was posted yesterday.
Oh, it was, okay, that one.
So,
Yep.
So, in my opinion, you guys should love businesses that are built by people from here, that slowly grow into something that can afford to build a building. Like, I bought Sully's Tavern, that would not be possible without the slow ramp up that we've had. We don't make a ton of money. I'm not rich. I couldn't just invest that from the get-go. This just limits the ability for people to grow into cool businesses in Brimfield. I think that's like a terrible thing. Like I said, this doesn't affect us now, but it affects other people that would do a similar thing to what we did. And I think we've done something that most people really like, and I hate to see that not be possible anymore.
Well, I appreciate your comment. I mean, you know, the one thing, you know, you'll hear from all of us, I mean, we're looking to try to establish a town center
Right.
district. You can't do a town center district without restaurants. You have to have entertainment, and believe me, nothing against Pizza Hut, but that's pretty much the only place we have right now.
Yep.
So, I mean, I think this whole board united, we want to keep people in Brimfield.
Right.
And the only way we can do that is by building up entertainment and anymore, I mean, we all know the restaurant business is entertainment.
Yep.
So I mean, more and more people are eating out, and you know it, and I know it. So, I mean, I'm sure don't want to stifle businesses. And I know this is not going to stifle you because they've definitely worked with you. And I mean, I saw your plans, it's going to be a great facility. I mean, I look forward to you getting it built.
Thank you.
You know, because we're going to have now 2 great restaurants, you know, former Rico's and your place. And so, I mean, we were known before for bars. Now I'd like us to be known for some great food.
Right, that's a good point. And
So,
and what we've done, the path we were allowed to take is what made getting rid of Sully's possible. That's what made that all possible. If this law was in place when Sully's was there, I wouldn't have been able to tear it down. We would have had to leave it there. And I don't think that would have been beneficial to anybody. Sully's would still be running, we'd be at half capacity, I wouldn't have parking, it wouldn't have happened. We wouldn't be as far as we are with the building.
Mike, did you want to speak on that any, or?
We have zoning commission members here as well. I think one of the comments was made at the last meeting about that. I agree. But the initial talks of when zoning commission brought this up, we talked about there was temporary vendors on vacant lots coming in selling rugs, Trump flags, and whatever various candidate flags on vacant lots, and that's where the concern came in to the other members. they didn't want to see that happening, and they understand temporary vendors are great, but they're not a primary use, they're a temporary. So, your primary use is a permanent use within a site, and the way zoning commission is looking at it is the primary use shouldn't be the temporary vendor. Primary use should be the business that's on the property, and this should be an accessory use to that primary. That's how zoning commission is looking at it. I don't know if anybody else from zoning wants to speak on that. Yeah, but-
You're at 4 minutes.
Okay, and I mean, just the last thing, I mean, and nothing against these vendors, but I mean, unless I'm wrong, I mean, not that Brimfield is greedy, but Brimfield, we don't make anything on this. They're not JED partners. I mean, they involve our services. I mean, we got fire, we got EMS, and I mean, it's pretty much carry out. So unless I'm wrong, I don't even think, do you pay sales tax?
Only on drinks.
So you don't.
But if we were a takeout restaurant, we wouldn't pay either.
See, because you don't, yeah, you don't pay that, and I don't know. I just, I mean, zoning is a completely different board than us. It is a different governmental, what is it, quasi, whatever it is. So all we can do is, between regional planning and our zoning boards, is take their recommendations as best we can. And I know this is not just targeted towards restaurants or food places. I mean,
Well, it applies to them. And
it does apply to them,
Are
but
the
I
rug
mean,
people, do they pay the temporary use permit?
The,
Are they licensed under the temporary use?
who's that?
license?
The
rug people?
yes,
stuff like-
everything, it's temporary vendors.
So
It's
if
not
it's a-
just food or
If
anything.
it's a money thing, why not just increase the cost of that?
I don't think it's a money thing. I think
I
it's
don't think it is either.
the zoning commission is looking at how to regulate and what is primary use, what is secondary, what is an accessory.
6 minutes.
okay, well, I appreciate you coming. I just.
Because a lot-
You're breaking ground.
A lot of these accessory uses wouldn't be allowed within a primary use.
Thank
So
you.
if you had a food establishment within, selling, I don't know, carpets, let's say, there's a ton of different regulations with building code if you had it within the same building. So you can actually get away with selling food outside with a temporary vendor and having it as accessory use when predominantly the building code doesn't allow for that. So we're looking at ways of regulating.
Joe, do you have an estimated opening date?
We're like midsummer. We should be great for breaking ground here, middle spring, sort of time.
All right, cool.
Good.
I got a comment.
Okay, well, thanks, Jim.
Joe,
Okay.
I was one of them that put that in. And Joe and I went round and round, and we're fine right now. What we're trying to do, well, I am.
I'm fine, you're good.
But what we're trying to do is, and it's gonna help Joe, it's gonna help every business person. You get somebody selling barbecue. And what we're doing is we're saying that they have to be sponsored, like the gun shop, okay? The tire place can do it, McDonald's can do it, anybody can do it, they just can't set up on a vacant lot. So, and there's a lot of vacant lots if you look around in Brimfield. So, that lot next to Joe there, somebody could buy that, take them trees down and put in another barbecue place. So what we're trying to do is, we don't want to be the barbecue, or, I'm sorry, not the barbecue. We don't want to be the vendor capital of the world. And I believe that the board members, we agreed on that. And, really, if Joe thinks about it, we're going to help him. Because he don't need somebody setting up a barbecue,
Well,
I don't need.
I do, I totally agree with what you're saying, Chuck. I mean, I know, but I see his point, because the restaurant business is a terrible beast, especially when you're starting and you got payroll and you realize you don't have money for payroll, and thank God my mother-in-law showed up, else Mike's place would have been history. My whole thing, and I know what Nick and Sue and I talked about, I wish we had the extra money. I mean, I went to Oahu, and they had it figured out. They've had this vendor thing figured out, because, whether we all like it or don't like it, these pop-up restaurants are a draw. I mean, in Oahu, they must have had 12 trailers in one designated area restrooms and everything. And you go there in the evening, I mean, in Hawaii, everyone goes out in the evening because it's beautiful. But it was just an area. So say my wife who won't eat anything, she could actually find something to eat. And, you know, it was just, you know, you could walk around to all these, it was very nice. I mean, I would love to go back to Oahu if you want me to do a video on it. So I mean, it's something we all need to think about sometime. I mean, the world is changing, and you know, I mean, it's a neat concept. I mean, I'm telling you, with the town center, like I told you before, I mean, if it's all connected with sidewalks and stuff, I mean, what a great place to go out in the evening. You know, I know our weather sucks in Ohio, but you know, we do got 6 good. So it's something we all have to think about as a township and as a board. You know, but it's just, you know, it's a.
Well, right now, at this time, I don't think Brimfield has the people draw. We don't have something that is so important that 3,000 people will come here and eat.
Well, if we get some microbreweries put in, if we need, that's what
Something,
we need to
because
draw.
we could provide all that for somebody to come and put up in a carnival setting, but where would the people come from?
Right.
John, we're at 3 minutes, and you also need to collect his information for the record.
I got it, okay.
No, Clyde, because Clyde spoke. He
Yeah.
didn't state his address for the
Okay.
record.
But we require everybody to say it.
Clyde, what's your
For the
address?
record.
Okay, good. What's your address?
1226 Dorley Drive.
I have it already. Thanks. Okay. Well, thanks. Thanks, Clyde.
I've got something to say. Dr. James McKee, 4505 Monroe Road, Kent, Ohio. In regards to coming up on the zoning, the increase from 40 feet buildings to 60 feet buildings, I completely disagree with going up to that 60 feet foot building because of 3 reasons: timing, equipment, and safety. Timing, kind of expecting other cities to come and help us. The timing is, it's gonna take them 20 minutes to get here. As soon as they get here, they're gonna have to put their outriggers down on a larger ladder. Then they're gonna have to find water to try and go and combat that fire. Then there's gonna be a communication issue because they're not gonna be familiar with our buildings. In regards to equipment, our ladders that we have for Brimfield Township only reach 24 feet. That's somewhere on the 3rd floor. So that's not gonna be able to save lives. The other towns have larger ladders, but they're not gonna be able to get here possibly or potentially in time. And safety is the top issue. One of the reasons that we have to make sure that we do not let this go through is because we don't want anyone to die. If these buildings get raised up to 60 feet, that's a 5-story building, and our ladders won't be able to do that. Every minute counts. We need to show that we value Brimfield Township residents' lives more than we do commerciality. And today, you 3 trustees are going to vote on that. It's your responsibility to look out for the residents of Brimfield Township. And it's going to show whether you value Brimfield Township residents' lives more than you do the commerciality.
So if I could speak on that behalf, on 10/11 of 23, the fire department was invited to the zoning commission meeting. Ron Goodspeed, this is right from the minutes, assistant fire chief and fire inspector was present to discuss building heights. So Tom Johnson moved this to the top of the agenda. Ron Goodspeed explained that surrounding communities are equipped with ladder trucks, and Brimfield's ladder truck is 24-foot extension. Rootstown has 75-foot. Talmadge has 100-foot. Kent has 110-foot capability. He explained how his fire suppression systems work and existing life-saving measures assist in emergencies and when the ladder trucks are needed. With this whole discussion, the zoning commission asked him to come back if additional questions arise, and then they made the motion to go ahead from there.
So the
think I
fire
got that.
department approved it.
Fire department was at the meeting when it was approved.
Well, my main concern is timing. Yes, they have the equipment, but they have to get here. That's the main focus.
We have very good-
Timing.
Our mutual aid agreements are good. I mean, if there's a fire, they're gonna be good. I mean, 20 minutes is a long shot. I mean, You know, I appreciate your comments, and, you know, we had that meeting, and we had that public hearing, and we did hear your comments, so I appreciate it. So, okay.
Would the board like me to speak? Or
Yeah, I'd like to hear from the fire chief. What do you have to say on that?
I think what Mr. Ladd said was completely correct, but I think the key piece in that is they're outside agencies. So what we can effectively affect is a 24-foot rescue on an outside of the building. A 24-foot ladder will reach your third story windowsill. That's what we have capability of. So I think the wordage of approved, we're not approving anything. We're just telling you what we are capable of, so.
And just because ladder trucks are nearby, that doesn't mean that they can respond.
Right, we have those agreements, and hopefully they'll be available, but that's the unknown, so. I'm not here to say yes or no, I'm just telling you what we have internally as equipment is X, and is a 24-foot capability.
And what if Kent has emergency, township has an emergency and the trucks aren't available?
Well, the higher,
I can't answer
the
that.
higher, again, you told me the more water suppression they have on the upper floors.
And building code takes over.
Right.
I mean, you know, you have this in major cities everywhere.
Again, I don't want to sit here and sound like I'm negative to this. I'm just saying to affect an outside rescue, we only have certain capabilities. That's it. That's all I'm saying.
And I would just say, Mike, because you made the comment, major cities have this. Major cities have ladder trucks. Major cities have larger rescue operations. They have dedicated rescue operations.
But most of the ladder trucks don't reach as high as Terminal Tower or any of the Huntington buildings or things like that. So
Which I
your fire
understand.
suppression takes over.
Right. But the point is, they have different equipment, different response
Correct.
than we do here in Brimfield Township.
Correct.
We should compare apples to apples.
Correct.
5 minutes.
Okay, good. And I mean, Jimmy, I don't know, you know, you said you question we're concerned about the residents, safety. I mean, that is all we ever deal with. We deal with their safety. I mean, I can't deal with the what ifs. I mean, what if we have an apocalypse? We aren't gonna have enough ladders. I mean, I'm just telling you, we don't ever accuse this board of not worrying about the safety of our residents, because
That's a realistic concern. If Ken is
It
on
is.
another call or if Howard is on another call and they can't come.
I'm telling
I
you,
mean, that's a real life situation.
99.9% of the time, those ladder trucks are sitting in the base.
I wouldn't say that high.
They take them out to run them, but I've talked to a lot of firefighters. I've talked to the city of Talmadge. They think it's crazy for us to buy a ladder truck when theirs is just waiting to be used. So, but we gotta move on.
So I'll give you the example. I went to Township Fire and no one
You're
was
five,
there.
it's 5 minutes, we're cutting.
Okay, I'm very
Okay,
concerned.
does anybody else have any comments?
I do. Bill Anderson, 2473 Acorn Avenue. I sit on the zoning board.
Thank you.
We researched that probably for 3 months, discussed it. It went to regional planning. We talked to them, got their recommendations. Any kind of building that's going to be 60 feet tall is not going to have a well. It's going to have public water. It's going to have fire suppression. It's going to have smoke alarms, detectors, and auto call. They get a smoke detector, heat sensor, water flow, automatically calls the dispatch center. They know exactly where it's at. And these surrounding communities all know that if they get a call to a 60-foot building, they know what Brimfield's capabilities are, and they're going to be posing ready to bring out ladder trucks, towers, or whatever. Even when Dussel Farm burned down, there was multiple communities responding to that in minutes. They were there, and that has no water. Yet I watched them bring tankers and tankers to refill, and it worked very well. And like I said, there was multiple communities. And those communities that immediately surround us, they're followed by backup by other communities. So you don't get a response from one, another one's coming. So you have multiple stairways in a building that big, you have elevator service that's actuated by the fire department. There's, the safety of the people in that building is the utmost importance in design and engineering. takes over and makes certain that people can get out of buildings. There's things that can happen that are catastrophic, explosion or whatever, but under a normal fire, it's gonna get flooded with water.
Right, I mean,
That's all I have to say about
our
it.
surrounding fire departments, I mean, our department, they work great together. I mean, I remember the egg farm. Craig, were you even born back then when we had the egg farm?
If I was there,
Yeah, it was what is that? It was like a ballet, watching them all work together. It's amazing. Because I mean, firefighters look after firefighters, and they don't want their brothers getting, you know, in a situation they can't handle. And I mean, Craig, and you know that. You guys work great together, so, okay, well, I appreciate your
I
comments.
just want to reiterate what I said. Hear my words. To effect an outside rescue, I only have that capability.
Right.
I agree with everything Bill said.
But did you and Ron talk before that
We
meeting?
did. We did.
Yeah, I'm surprised that you weren't at it, but,
I wasn't available that night, so
Okay.
Ron went. So I'm not trying to shut anything down. I'm just saying that's our capability.
okay, well, I appreciate it. Great. Any more comments? Am I done talking? Thank you. Okay, well, now is the time, well, we have safety.
Hold on.
What
Do you have a question before? I thought you were gonna try to, okay, sorry.
Hey, Joe, before I forget, I think somehow we need a microphone that picks up the audience. Because I was watching some of those YouTube videos and I did not fall asleep. But when you hear somebody talk,
Correct.
you can't hear them. I mean, if you just get something that picks them up.
They would have to speak in, these mics are directional, so we would have to ask the person to approach a podium.
I know our church uses one that hangs down and man, it picks everything.
Yeah, I mean, we'll have that in the new building. We'll have 2 podiums that the public will speak at.
I just wish we
In
had
the new
something
building.
temporary because these public comments are so worth.
We could set, we could, if you'd like a temporary solution, what I would recommend is a wireless
Oh,
handheld.
maybe if you could look into something.
I will get a
just
quote
think
for a
it's-
wireless handheld.
Because I was trying to listen to some of the comments, and I know I'm deaf, but
Mhm.
I just couldn't hear them.
Yeah.
So, okay, thank you, Joe.
Okay.
Okay, safety concerns, I think Jimmy gave us his. Anybody, any other safety concerns for you guys? They did, see another tree hanging down over one of the roads. I mean, you're doing more on Sherman, right?
Sherman, we've pretty much got some other things going on in different directions.
Oh, and then the other safety concern we have, I am tired of going to Menards and Myers, and Mike and I have talked about this, their lights are all out. They put those beautiful street lights up, and I think I counted 4 out. So John, Mike found out that.
That's part of the ESA.
So,
The ones on their roads?
yeah, the entrance into, between Menards and Myers.
Yeah, I didn't have any of those lights around.
Right.
So
So,
these things will let me know.
yeah, just give them a call, because I don't know if they're using, I don't know what kind of bulbs they're using, but they're all
But it's
out.
on the entrance, not the,
Yeah, both sides.
the one the east to west, because those aren't our roads, right? It's not those lights, right?
Yeah,
Not on 18, it's right up.
No, I mean the internal road that goes east to west.
Oh, in front of the stores?
Yeah.
No, not that.
Okay.
I'm just
I just wanna make
worried
sure I knew
about,
that.
I mean, they're beautiful lights that should be lit up.
Sure, I didn't know they were out, so
Okay,
I
well,
don't
thank
get
you.
out after 5.
We were out of eggs, I had to go out.
Well, while you're talking about burnout bulbs, we got one right out here, and we go down,
Oh, yeah, that's out,
yeah, that one.
on the left-hand side.
All I need is the pole number and I'll get a call into them. So if anybody sees police, fire, anybody sees a
Yes,
pole,
the
there's a
first-
number on the
first
side of
one
the
on
pole. So,
As you go down and walk out.
I do like our new lights in the town center. Those are good. Okay, thank you. Anybody else? We're good on safety concerns? Okay, now's the time where we start the regular meeting, so we just have the department heads talk, and you guys are welcome to listen. Hey,
yep, thanks, Mike. A couple items for the board this morning. Just an update on our 2024 cruisers. We took delivery of those early last week from Park Board. So those are due to be equipped and set up next month by Hall Public Safety. So hopefully by the end of next month, we'll have them out and on the road. But we did take delivery last week. Just wanted to give you
so those 2, 3?
two for 24. Yeah. So those should be on the road hopefully end of next month.
It's great that you got them early.
Yeah, this was a very unique year because last year it took us 11 months. This year it went 60 days. So that's just a logistical thing. But anyway, they're on our lot and getting ready, waiting to be equipped. A couple items I'll need for board approval this morning is I'll need board approval for our Kent State University Brimfield Police 2024 Communications Contract. That's the amount of $75,642. That's payable in 2 equal segments on April 1st and October 1st.
Now, what kind of increase was that?
They usually build on a COLA each year depending on the wage adjustment, so this one has a 3% adjustment.
And you've been happy with them?
We have.
Okay, well then, I'm going to make a motion that we approve the communication service contract with Kent State University.
Second that,
You guys have any questions?
same contract with that.
Okay, Ken?
All those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
motion passed.
Thank you. Second item I'm requesting board approval on this morning. I'm sorry, go ahead, Mike.
They all have to sign this.
Okay, yep, I've got that document up there for the board member's signature as well.
Is this the one you want signed?
Please, yeah. Second item is I need board approval to accept the Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services Body Worn Camera Grant for 2024 for electronic data storage in the amount of $7,128.
I'd like to make a motion to accept the Ohio Office of Criminal Justice Services Body Worn Camera Grant in the amount of $7,100.
I will second that.
All those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Nick, or Sue, Nick,
Yes.
motion passed.
And that's all I have for you this morning.
Hey, I want to commend whoever's doing all that posting of our officers, with their awards and stuff. That's good to put that out there.
Agreed.
So, tell them who's doing it. You know how to do that?
Sure.
Yeah.
Duly noted, thank you.
You get more hits than we do.
Thank you to them. Yeah, they did. We've got a good staff.
See, that's why the trustees have to start wearing uniforms. We wear a uniform. No, good, great job. At least you're
What do you
putting
want
it
this
out
to
there.
be on?
I'll take it and then I'll send a copy. That's all I have for you this morning, Mike.
Okay, thank you. Fire department.
Okay, updates for the fire department, the 3 new firefighters that we hired back in July graduated EMT basic school on last Friday. They're back and working and they will start to attend paramedic schooling in July-August area. And that will be, there is a 3-step process to what they were doing. This would be the 3rd step and the longest step for them. But they're doing well. We're hosting an in-house paramedic refresher course over the next 3 weeks at the fire station, Tuesdays and Thursdays. Just again, informational. It did begin after sitting down with the budget with John and myself, started to get ambulance price quoting. The reason we're doing that now is that it is an 18-month build. If I want to take one of their demos, it's 36 months if I want to do custom. So the process needs to start, and I will be discussing with John how to go about that and how to afford it. So that'll be coming. Yes.
I had a conversation with Todd Peets here about 6 months ago,
Okay.
and he said there may be some grant availability through regional planning network or whatever.
For ambulance?
So you might
I've
want to
never-
check with him. and
Yeah, I'll
see
check
if
with them. I've
something's
never
up.
heard that.
Okay.
So
Let you know.
a few years ago, Sue, you were part of that. You know that we did get 1 ambulance off.
Right,
of
we
it.
did.
So we were able to get 2 at the time. What we're looking at now is that we've grown to a point where we don't need a replacement, we need an addition.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
it will cost more at this time because we wouldn't get any trade-in value. We would be adding an additional ambulance to the fleet.
Do check with Todd though.
Okay.
So with an additional ambulance, is that, you're going to then have to increase staffing to the station?
Well, we increased the staffing last year with the new firefighters. Hopefully in a year from now, they'll be fully trained on what we're doing. We couldn't do anything with the ambulance because even though we knew we needed it previous till we had our new facilities to house it.
So the new rule of thumb with you is going to be to keep 3 ambulances at all times?
We're at that point. We anticipate growing probably 300 calls this year. So we're at the point to add.
That allows us also to rotate them differently. So now
Yes,
we're going from a
correct.
10-year to a 15-year life, replacing every 5 years.
Makes
So,
sense.
but then we can rotate those
We do.
spots.
As much as I wanted it before, we just couldn't house it. Now we're getting to the point to do that. So, with that being said, there is a fire truck, our oldest fire truck, we usually replace at 25 years. It's 24 years right now, and that's a 3-year build also. So that'll have to be in the discussion. And then near
What
future.
kind of price guesstimate is that?
$1 million. Yep, they're way up. Ambulances have doubled since last time. We paid $180 for an ambulance 8 years ago, and we're about $320 now. So, and that is nothing special. That's the basics. But that discussion will have to be held in the near future. Last thing was the existing punch list on the fire station. They're still working on. I wish they were a little quicker, but there's still a lot of things pending that they're working on, and we're slowly getting that done. And that's all I have.
Yeah, I stopped up at the station on Saturday, or I think it was Saturday, and they were all out on the call because they kept ringing the bell, but then they came back. What a beautiful station. I walked
Yeah,
in,
it's,
I walked in, it looks great.
It's going well. There's little things like air conditioning is not working. You know, like why wasn't that ever hooked up? So it's just little things. It's just pending on.
Yeah, the guys, just so the public knows, I mean, they love it.
Oh, yeah.
Compared.
Listen, we're thrilled. Thank you to the public.
Right, I mean, compared to that dungeon that they lived in.
I know no one cared as, well, you did care. That's a bad word to say, but for years, we had to put our shoes on to go to the bathroom because there's water around the toilets. I mean, we lived in
you
a
had,
basement barn.
you had a
It was
toilet,
terrible.
you had toilets in the mechanical room.
Yes, it was old.
It was.
We were due to get something new, and it's great. So.
Oh, it's a beautiful station. I mean, I have had people, are you gonna eventually open it up for an open house so the public can see?
Yeah, I think we discussed that, and I'll say it again. I think because it's under construction, we just need to wait till the complete project.
Yeah, I understand.
So,
I mean, it's good. I mean, I never saw that many recliners lined up in a row.
well, not to get off on a tangent, but we're filling them up. I mean, we're just getting busier and busier. So.
They have a restroom. What do you call it? What kind of room is that considered? Where all the recliners are?
For the day room?
Just a day
Day
room, yeah. Day
So
room.
they have a whole row of recliners. It's like rockers on the front porch. But it's great, so they can all sit in there and relax till the next.
We didn't make
call.
love seats. We weren't gonna sit. They just get their own recliner.
No love seats.
So,
That's good. Well, you did a good job.
yeah, it's getting there. Thank you.
Yeah, good job. So,
That's all I have.
okay. Administration.
All right, so I'm getting back to the revisions of the employee handbook. My goal is to finalize issue for re-review and roll it out. My goal is by June of this year. New business, so we just recently been having some discussions about honing in what we post on our electronic sign and just kind of putting some parameters on what should be posted on that sign. So I provided you just an internal guideline that we'll use. Basically, to post on the sign, it needs to be a nonprofit organization, local community event, government initiative, and township-sponsored activity would be eligible for advertisement on that township sign by the fire station. Businesses and for-profit entities would not be eligible for advertising on township signs. So we recently had a business contact us to post, and we decided that it was time to put some guidelines around that because that sign should not be used for profit entities.
Can I have one question?
There was some language there before. 'Cause remember, we had this discussion a couple of years ago. Where did that language go?
They tried to look for it, they couldn't find it.
And the language that we've had before is very, I don't see that, I don't see any difference in what our language was before as to what this is here.
Yeah.
And I just appreciate you bringing it to the forefront and going over it again and getting everybody to the point that this is the way it is. We're just restating what we already have.
Yeah, we tried to look for it in the historical records and just said, let's just pull it and revisit it, especially because even if it was done historically, it's time to just, Joe mentioned, we'll post it on the website and make sure that people know what that's for. We did talk with the attorney and he did say, we should not be posting for-profit entities. So it was just time to go ahead and revisit, repost. Yeah.
What about, I know most of the businesses are for profit. That's the only reason they're in business. What if we want to welcome a new business to town? Or what if, there's 2 new restaurants open in town and it's our town center, and, we allowed to have just a small point where you can acknowledge that they're opening
Yeah, and this is where we, the guideline that we wrote, it leaves open for discussion some of those items. It gets into, well, if you're calling out a new business, which is nice, and we should be able to do that, but you're also calling out the business and promoting their name. So it's a difficult line to cross of, if we start doing that, where do you draw the line? So, some of those things we will talk through on a case-by-case basis, because this is exactly what's been happening with Joe and I as people call. It's like we sit here and kind of talk through it to try and figure out, is it appropriate, is it not appropriate? And sometimes the nicest things of calling out a new business turn because we've not called out any other businesses, or maybe we miss a business and now we've promoted. So it seems like it should be so simple, but unfortunately we get into those gray areas of promotion where we shouldn't be.
Well, Nick, you and I just have to keep trying to do these business videos.
Yeah, I already contacted Jazz to go down there, so we get up.
Yeah, just to go out and do a live video for a minute or two and let everybody know.
I think doing the business update videos are nice. I think we have to be careful with the signage, just because, like you said, it's a slippery slope. If we advertise one business, does the next business complain and say, well, you didn't advertise mine?
Just sometimes, I know I can't see like I used to, but dang, some of those things you can't read. And then the light changes so quick. And,
That's
It's difficult. There's limitations of how much we can put on the sign, and there's data out there that Joe does a good job of trying to set it so it's not too lengthy or it's not too long, and so those are all things we try.
I mean, the new board was great. I think next time we need one
I have
double
a
size.
suggestion.
I was trying to keep the brickwork. I would, yes, I would love to go bigger, but I was trying to stay within the bricks were nothing wrong with them. So I didn't want to go through the cost of replacing the bricks. So I just stick to the sign that would fit.
Well, the graphics are great, like you said.
Oh, the resolution is wonderful, but yeah, I would, if it could be bigger, I would love to have had it bigger, but it just,
Well,
I was trying to keep the cost reasonable.
Okay, you did a
I
good
would
job.
like to recommend consideration that if any of our residents celebrate their 100th birthday, that we could put a big blast and say, happy birthday, so-and-so, your 100th birthday. That's just something to think about.
How old are you?
I'm gonna make it to 100. You better believe it.
Okay. Sorry, Holly.
Another item I want to bring before you is I'm going to, by the next meeting, bring to you a revised vacation accrual policy. So we've found that there have been some inconsistencies with the non-union vacation accrual. Looking at our current policy, it is somewhat vague on how we issue and how non-union employees accrue vacation. So within the non-union ranks, we have employees who are accruing based on their anniversary, and then we have other departments that are issuing them in lump sum based on their anniversary and no accrual. So I don't want to wait for the handbook to be rolled out. This is one that I want to work on and bring before you so we can create consistency on the non-union side. So by the next meeting, I'll be bringing that for you. But my recommendation is going to be that we issue the vacation accrual for non-union to occur the first of the year versus waiting for their anniversary date. So for example, if they're at 5 years, they'll get that accrual annually at the first of the year versus accruing and being issued on their anniversary date.
But it's not gonna be lump sum, it's gonna be accrual, so the number of hours divided by 26 days.
They'll get it in the bank. So for example, if you're 5 years of employment, you're going to get that full amount of time on January 1st versus building that 5 years over the year. So currently we are doing that for the majority of our non-union population. There are a number of employees that have employment agreements that get that all at once at the beginning of the year. And we've reviewed that with the attorneys. And again, they just said, you guys can do that. It just needs to be consistent. So since the majority of the population under an employment contract are getting that, we should do it with the rest of our non-union as well.
Okay.
Next item, the board resolution authorizing the acceptance of real property to Brimfield Township for the Ohio Department of Transportation. So ODOT received a permit inquiry for a new driveway access across ODOT-owned property at the Burnett Road cul-de-sac in Brimfield. ODOT actually currently owns the cul-de-sac in its entirety. ODOT has no future need for this property and is interested in its ownership transfer to Brimfield Township. We have been maintaining this cul-de-sac already. So after it was determined that this was under ODOT, they approached us to transfer the ownership to Brimfield Township. So the reason this inquiry came up regarding the permitting, the BZA has already has authority over that and wrap things up on their end. So no trustee's action is needed on the actual driveway access, but you do have the resolution before you to go ahead and transfer ownership of that to the township.
So it's just the cul-de-sac?
Correct.
We paved it, plowed it, and did all that, we just didn't know it was ours, not ours, yeah.
So that's where they're gonna put in a solar farm over there? Is that what I heard?
Correct.
Kent State?
Kent State.
How big is that gonna be?
And it takes up pretty much the whole property, but they have landscaping buffers on it.
Is that something they're gonna do relatively soon, or?
Yes.
So do we have to make access for them off of that cul-de-sac?
They asked for a drive permit, so ODOT has to grant the drive permit right now instead of Dave, just because we don't own it until, until this happens.
Wow. What does Brimfield get for this solar farm?
No.
We get the end of the
This, Kent State doesn't pay anything into Kent, so it's state school.
How many acres is this about?
Well, I didn't pull the
I
plans.
don't know if you had a guess, whatever.
It's quite a big, it's a big solar field, I can tell you that. There was
They're doing
three,
this
I think
all
this was over the course of 3 meetings with the BZA, because it actually meets one of the conditional uses within that district. So they did come in and apply for conditional use through the BZA, as well as, I think there was one variance that was granted.
I know Kent's big into this now. My son's father-in-law is in charge of the Kent State facility off of 77. He's a podiatrist or something. He just put in a huge solar farm.
Yeah, they're not reflective. I mean, they went through the whole thing. We had residents come and they went through the whole spiel of making sure that it's not reflecting
Is that
back
the
in the
first
houses.
person you had to contact you about that? Solar farms?
Yes, well, we've got many residential. I could tell you we're issuing probably 2 or 3 per month of solars on people's houses on the roofs.
I know people with, I got a lot of acres. Every month I get a postcard in the mail that they want to take over my hay fields and put up solar. The only thing is I can't touch them for 30 years. I'll be in some nursing home crapping my pants or something, but I'll never know it, but they are pushing farmers to turn over their land and put solar in.
Then when the solar panel croaks on you, how do you dispose of it?
After 30 years, if I read it right, after 30 years, they come back and they reclaim it. They take them all down and they reclaim your property.
Okay, because they're really nasty to dispose of.
I mean, it's common, that's for sure.
We can bury those now.
Okay, I will make that motion.
I'll second the motion for the authorization of real property.
All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
The next item, seeking approval to engage Marsh McLennan as our new healthcare broker. So we've come on board in July, getting through an open enrollment and just kind of evaluating our current consultant. I am looking to make a change to Marsh McLennan. We had them come in, give us a presentation and just talk about their services. I have 20 years in HR and most recently 1 year in consulting, and Marsh is one of the benefit brokers that I would recommend even to my other clients. My history in just benefits administration. They will provide us with more strategy, come in, help us evaluate our plans, make sure they're appropriate, look at other services, and just kind of really get some strategy on our benefit package. One of the biggest things that we have to offer our employees is our retirement plan through PERS, and as well as the other ones for STRS and police and fire. And then the other thing is our benefit package. We have a very nice benefit package. We want to make sure that employees know about it, that we're evaluating the plans and making sure we have the best ones to offer. So I think we're best to do that with Marsh McLennan, so I'm seeking approval to engage with them. There's no cost to engage with Marsh, so there's no out-of-pocket cost for the township to engage them.
Okay.
Make that motion.
Yes, I would like to make the motion that we approve to engage with Marsh McLennan as our new healthcare broker. And this is at no cost.
Second that. Glad you're looking into it.
All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Is that it, Holly?
That's all I have. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Okay, Mike.
Thanks. As I get used to my new bifocal glasses or contacts, so bear with me if I hesitate for a second. So our total fees to date is $14,434.60. And we're going to have big permit numbers this year. We have so much coming in, and you know, some of this stuff doesn't pay till later in the year, but we're working on a lot. New business updates, and I'm going to add one to this list today because it happened last night where we pretty much closed everything. First one is East Manufacturing coming out of Randolph. They're going to split part of their property up. They're coming into the Carg Industrial Parkway. They're going to be 90% distribution and 10% sales of parts in there, which is a nice one. And I'm working with them on that transition, as well as Dunkin' Donuts, which is going to go across the street from Aldi's in the IC district. And we just closed that last night. So I wanted to announce that today. I didn't get to put it on here, but that's also a nice one. I think that one's going to be a popular one like Aldi's was. So look forward to them coming.
Estimated date on that?
No estimated date. I'm working with them right now on the drawings and how it's going to flow with the drive-through. Make sure there's fire access, and I'm going to get Ron and Craig involved to make sure that they're happy with it before full architecture goes. So.
Mike,
Just kind of know when to get the questions then, right?
Oh, yeah, right away, yeah.
Are one of those houses coming down, or is it on?
Yeah, one of the houses.
So it's not on the empty one that already got?
No.
Okay.
Anything on Chick-fil-A?
I mean, the last time we had Chick-fil-A was they had the Chase site. That was the one they were closing with. There was not enough acreage for them. They didn't like the way that one was going to flow for them with their double lanes. But they're never out of the woods. We still have land for them, so I keep telling them this story.
Those double lanes are filled.
Yep. So I have several things for board approval. This is all coming from zoning commission. This is started back in August or September, I would say, with zoning commission on the following. So first one is a text amendment, change of height for structures from 40 feet to 60 feet in TC, HC, IC, LI, and HI zoning districts. Those stand for town center, highway commercial, integrated commercial, light industrial, and heavy industrial zoning districts.
Okay, well, I'm going to make a motion that we approve this text amendment change of structures from 40 feet to 60 feet in TC, HC, IC, LI, and HI zoning districts.
Second for discussion.
Okay.
In these districts, I think my concern with the height structure change is that we're gonna have some residential potentially in that. It's gonna allow for high-rise apartments or hotels, correct?
Could, yeah.
Is there, I guess this will be the fire chief, is there a difference when we have occupied structures that are business structures and then occupied sleeping structures when it comes to rescue potential? And the effects on the fire department to do those rescues?
I mean, ultimately, yes, you have more density in sleeping areas, you have children, you have things like that, right?
Okay.
That affect rescue in that, again, the suppression in these new buildings and all the fire alarms and all that are, I mean, top notch. I mean, you have a sprinkler head every 6 feet, right?
Right.
So the things, again, as I said before, internally are great. It's just, as I spoke before, and I don't want to reiterate, but I will, is the exterior rescue capabilities that we have is only limited. That's my only concern.
So we're not equipped to do exterior rescue if we had to on a high-rise.
I can reach third story windowsill with my ladders. That's just me. There's ladders outside, they can come, are they available? Yeah, sure. So I don't want to discount anything, I'm just saying internally as Brimfield Township, that's my concern. That's it.
Okay. Hey, just to make sure we do this right, Supervisor, I mean, John says, so we need to rescind that motion and do it the right way?
Well, you read it.
Okay, no, what numbers were you worried about?
Oh, the lot numbers.
No, we don't.
We're
need
just
to-
reading what's on.
We don't need to
Okay.
read, we don't need, no, we don't need to read all the lines.
Okay, we're just,
We don't have to read.
okay,
Oh, that's what I thought.
Because this was from Monday night's meeting.
okay.
Okay, good.
Okay, well, we had the zoning board did, zoning put it all together, and I mean, we did the public hearings, and I think we had one person here.
Great.
For the,
No,
I'm not talking the total amount, so you
Oh,
really can, but we only had one person that
Yeah.
that expressed concern, and I hate to go against what the zoning folks did, so. And regional planning did it also.
I'm just concerned about the rescue situation and just the capabilities. And I get that other stations have engines and they may have ladder trucks that haven't moved 99% of the time, but their crew moves. So that the ladder truck doesn't have crew assigned to it, they just sit there and wait. That crew's running ambulance calls, they're running fire calls on other pieces of equipment. So if they're out, then there's that time back to get the ladder truck, get it there. If it wasn't sleeping units, I think sleeping units make rescue more difficult because you have residents sleeping at night and you're gonna have that overnight and larger density, as we talked about. And I think that creates a safety issue.
How tall are our hotels in town right now?
40 max.
The third story is 40?
40.
40 gets you to that.
So Craig, you can get to the windows on the third story of the Carl Lodge?
Yeah, I can get to the windowsill. Again, I cannot even reach the roof at this point. So we do have buildings that I can't even reach at this point.
So we already have issues.
Yeah, so we're just compounding it until we get the equipment. I just worry about the safety of the residents, but I also worry about the safety of our fire staff trying to effect those rescues. I mean, if you're making a window entry and you're hitting the bottom of that windowsill, it's not the safest place to make that entry.
And we have no applications for this whatsoever. This was brought up by the zoning commission members. They were looking into, actually zoning commissions being proactive, trying to make our code similar to surrounding communities.
Well, I think we really need to look into the future to see what, I mean, our zoning land bank or our land use plan and all that goes to 20,050. So if this goes into our book now, this gives us some breathing room and some expansion room and whatever, to make it so that when it does get here, like you say, you have no applications at all for any kind of a building in that size.
But if we get an application tomorrow, are we as a board effectively ready to purchase a ladder truck and make sure we have the equipment, the ability to make that entry to be safe for our fire staff? At the end of the day, I mean, I want our residents to be safe, but I'm also want to make sure that our staff can make entry. I don't want to stagnate growth. I think growth in the right manner is important, but we have to weigh community safety and our firefighters and our police officer safety in that too. And if, we're already in a position where we don't have that accessibility, then we're growing that even higher. Are we putting the cart before the horse?
And I think a lot of this and what the zoning commission was talking about is the majority of businesses that will come in. If they're over 40 foot, there's another trigger that allows for every 1 foot vertical, you go back 2 foot more with your setbacks. So it creates more green space around it, but also it's a conditional use. So it wouldn't be coming through my office per se as a permitted use. It would go to the Board of Zoning Appeals, and then the Board of Zoning Appeals would want the fire department at that meeting for anything over 40 foot.
Right.
And you guys can actually put that in, that fire department be at all the Board of Zoning Appeals if something were to come in over 40 foot, because if they're not comfortable, I agree. If the fire department's not comfortable with over 40 foot, then
So we
it
do
is what it is.
have mechanisms that can stop
I mean, you could actually add to this language right here tonight and say, fire department be in at every meeting if it's proposed over 40 foot. That way, if they're not comfortable or we can't get access to it, they have an input and the board can turn it down.
So any building over 40 foot you're stating in any of these districts is conditional.
Correct. If you're going that high, it's going to increase your density. So anything residential you'd be concerned with density wise would have to go, if it's not more than 4 units per acre, they're not gonna go up that high and go 4 units per acre. So if you're going up to 12 units per acre, let's say in integrated commercial, it would trigger conditional use.
How about HC where it just says hotels and motels?
So that would trigger it as well. And you can put this as here. You could say, we want this as a conditional use. You can change the language at this before it gets voted on and say, or even give it back to zoning commission and say, we would like language that's a conditional use only, and that fire, put language in there that fire needs to be at the meetings. And I mean, there's just ways around it. So.
Can we require approval from the fire? Because I mean, it's one thing for them
You
to be
could.
there and give an
Absolutely.
opinion. It's different if the board doesn't take that opinion and work with it, right? And I just, like I said, I'm not trying to slow growth here. I just want to make sure that we don't have the cart before the horse.
We're in no hurry by any means. The zoning commission and we weren't in a hurry to pass this. We were very cautious with trying to go through this. So if you guys feel that it needs to be labeled as a conditional use and fire approval, send it back to zoning commission. We'll have another public hearing there, another public hearing here, and then you can have that language.
I think that's fair.
Yeah, like I said, it's not that I don't want.
That way it's a
to go through,
win-win
I just want to
for
make sure
everybody.
that we're able to effectively do this the right way.
Just have to remember, we're looking out to 2050.
Yeah, and I get that, but I also got to look at like internally here too.
And as those buildings come in, more funds become available to do a ladder truck.
But as we know, and we just talked about, we have other needs before we buy a ladder truck. We need new fire engines, we need ambulances.
Always will.
Right.
And just remember, the structure over 30 feet is not wood. It can't be wood, it has to be metal stud construction. The whole construction picture changes. So they don't burn that fast.
So the Tower of Inferno is not.
But the rest is still.
Wood all the way to the top.
And I think we need to stick to the agenda here, that this is the business piece we ask for public
Right,
comments.
so let's,
And that's actually my problem.
I'm gonna-
You're allowing him to speak, but for
Okay.
me, it's a double standard.
okay,
That's
I'm
why.
making a motion now, I'm withdrawing my
Well,
motion.
we had a comment from the chief yet too.
Just if I could, since I am the one here that fights fires and have done this and know how fire spread works, I don't know if we need to go that far. If we could just be included in that conversation if something comes in, that would be great.
Well, I would rather have it. put-
And I know we worked
Right,
before,
I
but if we
should
could,
improve it then.
that would be good.
I would rather go, I agree, but I'd rather go back to the.
Okay,
So-
okay. I just
so-
didn't know if you needed to go that far.
So with that being said, he's correct. So anything that does come in, zoning requires a fire certificate of compliance with you guys. So
Yeah.
they have to submit before any building permits or anything, they have to get fire approval prior to any other permit. We don't even issue zoning.
But my concern is this, is that, yeah, they're gonna look at the building and fire code, right? If they're within the fire code, they're gonna issue the certificate to say you're within the fire code. They can't say, well, we don't have the equipment to rescue you, so we're not gonna issue this certificate because our zoning code says we can be at 60 feet. I wanna make sure that they have a way to interact with that zoning code, that if we don't have the equipment, because I don't think a ladder truck is on your purchase list in the next 10 years. It may be sooner if this is the route we need to go, but we need to have a trigger there so we can respond to that and keep staff safe.
I think you need to rely on Craig and what if he needs it, he's the one fighting the fires, I agree. So I think.
And if we could come to Mike, if there was a proposal and say, hey, let's talk about this and talk about all the things that we don't talk about today of how it's expressed. Yeah, it might be perfectly okay. I can't answer that today.
Why would
If we
we
were
just
just
have an
included,
approval so we don't have to
we'd be
worry
good to
about the who said what? who didn't?
You could put it in as fire approval at any level over 40 foot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
right now.
And that's why, that was my concern, we just said have them at the meeting and speak. I think we need that check box.
Craig's kind of mentioning that we don't have to have a vote, right? Or you don't have to.
I don't know if you need to go
I
back
believe-
and have it redeliberated, if you just add that.
I think you
We
could
don't know
add it
what's
at this
gonna be
point.
here Years from now, I'd rather have it.
Okay.
Well, I wouldn't want us to
Okay.
change the language of this here at this board meeting. I think it needs to come from zoning commission back to us because I just.
I don't know the legality of you guys changing the language on it. I would say that you could at any point, because I know coming back, some of our languages on other things were changed after regional, and regional said you absolutely can do that, so it does not have to go back to regional. And I believe that you are the final say, so if you want to add, you're not changing language, you're just adding language, I think it would be okay. I would say go ahead and do what you're comfortable with. If you want to vote on it, I'll send it off to Mark just to make sure, and if we have to change it later, we could.
Wouldn't your next meeting though, if you had to redo this, include the fire department to be there again as part of it?
We could do that as well.
I mean,
Whatever you
then
guys are
can
comfortable
finalize
with.
and talk it all over and then just decide, and they're either gonna approve it or
We're
not.
gonna, I think the zoning commission is gonna go exactly what fire department wants. I don't think that there's gonna be any argument.
It would just make it cleaner, I think, if it was approved by both of you guys at the same time, instead of just one of you and the other maybe have a different opinion. I'd rather be done that way. Because we're gonna have this discussion 5 years from now, we have to look back and see what we
I
said,
mean,
it just would have to be,
You,
we had to be approved by the fire.
not that it's a big deal, but so if you send it back to them, then we just restart the public hearings again, as far as I know. But I'm gonna go through with an attorney just to make sure the steps are
We don't have to vote on it today. I mean, can you check into this?
Yeah, can we table this one
perfect.
till?
Table it, yep.
And then
That's
get an
perfect.
opinion on how we can move forward. I just want to make sure that we're doing this the right way for the safety of the residents and the fire
Oh,
staff.
I agree.
Because we don't have the equipment right now.
There's nobody waiting for anything. This is a 2050 comp plan,
So
so.
I'm gonna withdraw my motion. So I'm gonna make another motion that we just table this.
I'll second the table this amendment change.
All those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick.
Yes.
So Craig, start saving some of your jet money for your ladder truck.
I will. I will.
And if we know if we're going to this and we know that, then the future TIFs could go towards a ladder truck and we could put
Oh,
that in.
yeah, right, you just told me.
Oh, I mean, we could.
You know how bad he wants a ladder truck?
I don't,
Oh, hell yeah, you want a ladder truck.
I need an ambulance and a fire truck, and I need a lot of things.
So we can take their
Oh,
ladder
no,
truck.
We could just
If
label
someone
it.
donated some money, you wouldn't take a ladder truck.
Oh, I take it in a second. Somebody donated.
So the next TIF, we could put it towards equipment,
Well, that would be-
fire
that
and
would be
police
a great
equipment,
idea.
something like that, you know?
And then Roy's gonna want his tip too.
Yeah. And there is, so Maple Crest One should be generating money
She
right
doesn't
now.
have fun.
That
She
is
can't-
designated police and fire, so that should be.
Well, that's good.
We already has it.
No point in passing this quick until you get all.
You can get it.
I like it,
Right.
okay.
Okay, second one is approval needed for proposed map
We already-
amendment changes, 16 parcels along Mogador Road and Sunnybrook Road from residential office to R2. So we had public hearings on this and it did pass through regional planning. There was petitions found from regional planning years ago that the residents wanted to stay residential in that area.
Okay, well, I'm gonna make a motion positive that we approve the amendment changes to 16 parcels along Montgomery Road and Sunnybrook Road from residential office RO to residential R2.
Second. I'd like to point out, and it's very important, the residents are very important to me. And I find, just like I said Monday night, that these residents were put in a different category. They would go to the bank and say, hey, I'd like to have a loan to improve my property. The bank wouldn't give them because they were in a light industry or something.
Commercial
Different
district.
commercial. They were in a commercial area. So this is at the request of these people that they wanted this change so they can improve their properties or do whatever they wanted to do, and put it back into residential.
This
I
fits,
am for this.
this fits the current home profiles, correct? So
Correct.
nobody's be-
No, so we had Gail at regional planning look at the lot sizes and setbacks and go to the best one that fits that district.
Just want to make sure we weren't creating any other non-conforming.
So,
All those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes,
Nick,
Yes.
motion passed.
and we're gonna need approval as needed for the proposed map amendment changes zoning map and text resolution of 13 parcels along Talmadge Road, Maple Crest Parkway subdivision from general commercial to integrated commercial. This is part of our comp planning, trying to narrow down zoning districts and the amount of zoning districts we have. We're dumping everything that's in the general commercial district into integrated commercial and all those uses. This is the last piece of general commercial on the map. So, it's not only a spot zone right now of one district like the RO was, but we're eliminating the amount of commercial districts we have in there too.
Okay, I would like to make that motion that we approve it.
I'll second that motion for discussion. Mike, will we eventually get amendment changes just to remove GC from our map completely in that whole section?
This is it. So this eliminates GC.
So we won't have that language in the book anymore either?
No, the whole section of GC comes out and the whole section of RO comes out now that those districts are eliminated.
Okay. I didn't know if there was a separate motion to remove that.
No, and then one of them that's going to take place is the next one down, which is the new Parks District. So that'll fit into one of those categories.
Thank you.
All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Thanks. And I'll need approval is needed to establish a Parks and Recreation District within Brimfield Township. This allows for all the parks to be onto the zoning map with their own zoning designation, as well as language within the code specifying setbacks for various things. Most of them are permitted. I think there's one exception that's a conditional use, Cassie, and that was for restaurants and lounges and things like that. If they decide to have like a food concession, it would be a conditional use and not a permitted use.
I'm going to make that motion to establish a park and recreation district in Brimfield Township.
I'll second that for discussion. When this happens, does that automatically change? I know we're creating the district. Will that now make all of our parks in those districts as part of this motion?
It will be, they'll have their own designation on the map as well as their own section of the code.
Mike, when we had this zoning meeting, you did bring up a very interesting point that I think you need to tell, we need to get it out to the residents that say that we're taking away all of rural Brimfield. I think you need to tell us what you told them, tell them what you.
So we're working on, in the next zoning commission meeting, I think, Roy, you're going to be attending as well because you heard about it. The next zoning commission meeting, we have roughly 30% agriculture right now. We have more agriculture now than we did 40 years ago. And we're trying to exceed that. So we're looking at, we have a specific map just with agriculture on it, and zoning commission is looking at some of the districts that are zoned where either a development could come in, housing development. We're looking into locking those back into RR and R1 where they stay agriculture and they can't go to a housing district. So we're looking at that
Did you say
now.
that was 4 years or
40.
40 years.
So we have more agricultural.
So to
property.
put things in perspective, we have roughly 30% agriculture right now in the township. You have 5% commercial.
That's just a good point to bring up.
Yep.
So we are keeping Brimfield
Agriculture.
agricultural.
Mhm.
Yep. I don't know how many times I've read that we're taking everything away.
Right.
Is that agriculture, is that active agriculture or just zoned agriculture?
That's active agriculture that's has a CAUV. in
I
place.
didn't, because sometimes there's a difference between what's zoned for that and what's active.
No, and we actually have a specific map listing all of them, for example, it's going in zoning commission next month. We have Dussel Farms. Dussel's probably our most popular one everybody knows about. It's zoned for residential development. We're gonna take that out, put it back into rural. That's what we're talking about, saving these pieces.
That's good.
Yep.
Cassie, how many acreage do we have in parks right now?
Just over 150.
150?
Yep.
Okay.
Okay, we have a motion on the floor. All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
And then the last one I have is approval needed for zoning text amendment changes resolution 540 temporary use permits to add no temporary use permit shall be issued for a vacant lot.
I'd like to make that motion.
And I'll second it for discussion. So Mike, just to be clear, okay, so I know we're getting rid of the lots that nobody's on. So say the gun show wants to bring in, because this is not targeted towards food vendors, this is targeted for everything. So they still can help the small businesses. If the guy that owns that place wants to bring in a business, sponsor him, whatever on his property, he can still do that.
Yes, as an accessory use, yes.
Okay, so that's not eliminating.
Just so it's not the primary use on the lot.
But if we had two lots, if I owned a business and I owned two lots because they hadn't been combined, and I operate the facility on lot one and lot two is empty and I want to bring in a food trailer, rug trailer, whatever that is, I could not operate that on that second partial that I own because it does not have a primary use building.
They would need to go and get board approval from the BZA for a variance, and that would be a hardship case.
Okay.
So, I mean, it's similar to We have a lot of this, believe it or not. They don't allow it anymore, so you'd have to go for variance. But if you own two lots, and some people separated their lots in the past for tax purposes and kept their house on one and then a vacant lot on the other, and then they build a pole building on the existing lot next to it. We don't allow that for zoning because you need the primary use. So if they come in and apply to me, I have to turn it down officially. They go to the BZA and say, look, we own both lots. We just, for tax purposes, we're splitting it up. And that's probably be the same reason.
Do we currently have a process in place that does not allow the vendors to set up without going through the permit, correct? So if I had a vacant lot right now, because this hasn't been enacted, and I wanted to put a food vendor, they have to go through a process.
Correct.
And it's temporary, it's not a permanent process.
Temporary, correct.
They have, how long is that permit good?
It is now 90 days in a calendar year.
And then they can't operate again.
Not in that year, the following year.
The following year, they could operate again.
Correct.
So I'm concerned about the fact that we already have something in place that stops that from happening, and we're tying that down. My bigger concern is why this was done. And to Joe's effect, it was stated in our public hearing from one of our board members that, quote, what this brought up was Joe down there at Joe's Barbecue. He has been down there 5 years, okay, and it turned into a problem. And now he's going to build, and that's what we don't want to happen again. They don't want Joe to go down there and put up a hot dog stand somewhere and stay there for the next 5 years. I have concerns when our zoning board members are specifically targeting a business, and that was the statement that was made.
I don't know if he was targeting. I think he was using it as an example, but I'm not the person making the comment. So
Right. I'm just saying, this is my concern with this language, when we already have something in place. I don't even know why we're looking at it again.
Yeah.
Because there's already a process that only allows operation for 90 days, which is,
I understand what you're saying. I think, but you could also take that another way, because at some of the zoning commission meetings, predominantly, I think the zoning members brought up the rug sales. And that was the predominant one. We had a lot of trouble getting him to get a permit and get him, and he refused to get a permit. And at one point, he actually went on ODOT's property next to 76 and 18 and set up on ODOT's property. And, we had trouble, even ODOT had trouble getting rid of him. I think that was the one that came up more than Joe's Barbecue.
But if that's the concern, we have trouble getting rid of them, what's to stop them from just going on the vacant lot and just operating that too, right? You're gonna be in the same boat.
It could be, yeah, and you gotta go through the same process we do any violation.
Right, so the process exists, we're just creating more barriers to the small businesses that are starting. And honestly, I support the small businesses. I think we go above and beyond for large corporations between the chips, tips, and the other financial pieces that we put in place for them, which is good. We need them. They help support the JED, they help support our board, they help support the work that all of our department heads effectively do. But we also need to help build up those small grassroots businesses. I watched, Joe's Barbecue is an example of those, that grew up from the ground floor up. There's a lot of small businesses that don't have the cash flow. And it's not easy to start a business this day and age. There's a lot of rules and regulations.
Right.
And I think we as a community are just adding another layer to that here and making this more difficult when there's already a process that exists.
Dick, I agree with you on part of the stuff, but, Joe's the exception. Joe had it in game, but he wanted to get to his own restaurant. I'm telling you, 90% of those people that are setting up the rugs, the guys that sell t-shirts or political signs and stuff, they're not worried about starting business up. They're worried for quick dollars, and they're gonna move into the next community. That's what they are. I think you gotta have some kind of structure there.
And I think we have a structure with the 90-day permit. It exists. The enforcement of this is gonna be the same enforcement as the 90-day permit, correct? We'd have to go through the same process.
Same process, no matter what it is, yeah.
Okay.
Well, I'm looking at this, what you're requesting here is to put in the wordage, no temporary use permit shall be issued for a vacant lot. Well, within the book here, I'm saying what part of no don't you understand? So if we put this in, I think that would, when people read this, it will be more clear, and it's one sentence, it'll just take care of everything.
Yeah, but my concern is we already have a process that exists, and now we're creating an additional barrier in there. Right now, somebody can try that startup, they can test the market, see what works with that 90-day permit. They wouldn't even be able to use that 90-day permit then, correct, on a vacant lot at this point.
Not on a vacant lot.
I know, I watched Kent, you know, because I've been Kent a lot, and I just noticed they got, you know, down at the auto store, they got a barbecue guy that pops up for a weekend and he's down. Right, so say, so 90 days is 90 days. So say somebody comes in and, because I mean, we all know that most of the business is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. So if he would stay open for 3 days and then take his trailer away, I mean, does it add up? I mean, can
Well-
he have it at different times?
No, it's 90 days. So he's got a 3-month period. It's not like you could go 2 weeks and then come back 3 weeks. It's a 90-day permit.
So it's 90 consecutive.
Yeah, and I think one of the concerns as we're talking about this, I remember through the zoning commission as we were going through this whole process, and one of the main concerns was porta potties and how those look, because it is a requirement for temporary use permit in our temporary use permits to have restroom facilities. So if you're on a vacant lot, they have to have a porta potty. That is not always, you know, we get complaints on that for sure. And that was one of the things that I think they were looking at. If there's a primary use within that you could use the facilities that's there, you know.
Now, the health department, are they involved in these?
All of the, well, as far as temporary vendors, not all temporary vendors, I believe, but I think food trucks, they are.
They are. That's a requirement of the license.
But as far as I don't believe any of the like flags and stuff, I don't think that they have to go through any process.
Mine. And that's all.
No. It's fine. Okay.
Have a motion on the floor.
I just,
All those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick,
no,
motion passed.
Okay, Dave. Well, thanks for getting us.
No, that concludes my report. I'll try to bring more businesses in. There's some confidentiality on some things that just sold. Hopefully I can report to you guys in the next couple meetings on what else is. Oh, yeah.
any update on the pharmacy that we were talking about?
Yeah, that's full-fledged. That's approved. That's ready to go.
Have they released the name yet?
Drug mart.
So Drug Mart is
Drug Mart.
purchasing the property in front of the school, correct?
It's in front of the school. That's Skipper Group's property.
Yeah, right next to Kelso.
It's going to be right in front. So it's going to be a drug mart with a pharmacy as well as grocery store.
Is it gonna be the whole lot?
It's going to be the entire lot.
But this is an upgraded version of Drug Mart. It's not.
It is.
It's not the same old Drug Mart.
Correct.
With the
Correct.
Delta
Their new
County.
version, you could see, the latest one, I believe, was in Bainbridge.
I did. I went online and looked at it.
Yeah, it's sharp.
It is sharp.
It's really
They're gonna
sharp.
kind of meet that town center look that we're trying to.
They are,
build.
yep. And as
Yeah,
well
Go
as,
online and look at it. Bainbridge, Drug Mart. It's-
Bainbridge.
It's impressive.
they actually have, the one, you know, in Bainbridge, for example, has a butcher shop in it, a bakery, full grocery. As far as I've been talking with them, yes.
Question, just on that, is it gonna be a requirement as part of that, they're gonna put sidewalks in and some lighting around?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Correct. I haven't seen all the plans on it yet. They're working. So you're going to see survey due diligence right now with the layouts. And of course, we're going to try to get the light activated, which I believe will happen
Okay.
on the corner. Yeah, it sounds like a good fit.
Do we have the ability to try to get them to do sidewalk lighting that's gonna match our districts?
Correct. Yeah.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure we're able to keep.
Yeah,
that low.
they've been
Same
very,
lights and everything?
they've been very reasonable to deal with. Yeah. And they're very excited to come. They've been doing their due diligence here for a while.
So we have some potential to get some state house funding in 2025. I was told to do some sidewalks and lighting. So if we can match that all together, we're gonna have to start putting a plan together here in the next
Yeah, we
probably
just-
couple months.
So-
We have to have everything connected with sidewalks.
So we
Yeah.
have a sidewalk plan from zoning commission, and they have submitted it, and I've had initial conversations with Larry Jenkins. So anything we do, county engineer is going to have to support us, whether it's going for grants or anything. And Larry has been very receptive to listening to what we have.
Get a master sidewalk plan for that town
We
center
have.
area. We just need to get
Conceptually.
that over to the state representative probably in the October timeframe, because then we can potentially get funding in the state budget in 2025.
We have a conceptual drawing in, and then we would have to go for a request for proposals through the county engineer's office. And then they're actually going to have to take the lead so we could give them conceptual, but since we work underneath their umbrella, they're gonna have to go, if they're not gonna design it themselves, which I seriously doubt that they don't have the staff, then they'll have to go for a request for proposals, unless they push it onto us, which we're more than happy to do. But that's one of the things that we're gonna be going to.
Do we have to wait till October to get it in? I mean, I would hate.
We can put it in earlier, but what they do is they take the actual requests in December to put into the state budget. But we need an entire package so we know what
No,
dollars.
I would hate.
It's- it's-
We have that opportunity.
It's not gonna be cheap for the design. I don't want you to, I don't want to lie to you guys. We paid Mike Woolen to do the conceptual design for this project and where they're going. But when you actually do the studied portions of this and the right-of-way takes that you need to take, some of them, because it's very narrow on 43 and 18 to squeeze that sidewalk in there.
Can you put some prices together? I mean, this is something I think we need to.
We need to go.
It's not a guarantee for the funding, but if we can at least get the proposal to the state house.
The first step is get the county engineer on board. And then second step would be request for proposals, which they don't give you a cost estimate until after you pick an engineer, then they give you. So it doesn't work like a bidding process with a contractor because it's a design professional service. We won't have estimates with numbers for a little bit yet.
I mean, some of these cities, I mean, everything is just connected, parks and all
Oh,
that.
we agree. We're actually talking about language at zoning commission to put it within the code to require anybody building on 43 or 18 to put sidewalk. So we're just gonna put it into the zoning resolution, so we don't have to try to enforce something that's
We
not in
just
the
have to
code.
come up with some things because, say they want to go across to Joe's place, or they want to go across to the old Rico's, we got to have some kind of safety mechanisms put in there so it's.
I agree.
We were talking about that before, remember trying to figure out how we can slow down the traffic in the town because it becomes more of a walking downtown
I
area.
mean, the town center has to be more than just our little area, it has to be.
And the lighting is gonna
Even
be,
the McDonald's and stuff, we all have to.
Well, and I think we really need to make that total connection back to Sterling Green, right? Because that's that walking path that needs to happen.
and we have some lighting coming in. So, this year, this spring, we do have those tips. Those are active, those were approved. They're going forward with that project. So we're gonna get that town square west paved.
Okay.
Down by Wendy's with lighting down there. And then we're getting Town Square Park East with the sidewalks and the lighting. That's going in
What I'm
too.
afraid is, the first piece should be at the new town hall. Because we want to connect, the trail going from behind the library, sidewalk going over to the Kelso. We got to do our due diligence and get our part put together.
Yeah, right.
Okay.
The other thing with the lighting, and we'll get more people involved, and experts when it gets to that, they're trying to get rid of that ESAP program. So with that being said, we might want to look at other lighting that is easy for our road crews to maintain if they do eliminate that program.
I don't understand that though. How do they
Dave's gonna
get
need a bucket
involved in
truck.
allotments? That we already have basic programs.
I
Why
don't-
take those lights over?
I don't know.
60-foot.
Everybody's kind of questioning how that's going to happen.
Because my allotment doesn't have ESIP lights illegally, and we have to pay for them out of our homeowners association. So I would assume that all those allotments that have ESIP ones, if they go back, then we'd have to be going back to the homeowners association to pay for.
But how if they don't have an HOA?
Now, they fall into the
It's
general fund, like our intersections that we have, that's where they would fall. But,
It's gonna be a mess.
yeah, and
And there's
We
been
don't
so
have
much
money to
talk
pay for
on
all those
that, and
lights.
I'm not an expert on that by any means. I just hear it. Bill's one of them. He's very heavily with the lighting and he's heard that as well. So I don't know.
yeah,
How
that
that's
just
gonna
becomes
play
a
out, but-
huge, imagine down what we're talking about in front of Menards. We'd have to go fix all those lights that are out.
Exactly.
And if one of them is broken, now we're replacing the whole damn light that's $5,000 to fix, and then that starts getting real expensive.
Right. And that's what I'm saying. Like if that is going to happen, we got to find out that, number one. Number two is that what type of lighting do you want to go to? That's very easy to maintain, So
So what's the build out anticipated for Drug Mart?
they're going to start by this fall. They're starting construction.
So there's.
They're engineering right now.
Because
They purchased the property and they're in engineering.
I just didn't realize how many people use the Dollar General.
Yeah.
There's definitely a void we have now.
Yeah.
No Dollar
There's
General.
nothing nearby. We're out to Ritz Town or over to Kent.
Right.
And we haven't heard anything, so. as to what Dollar General's next step is.
Right.
Okay. Okay, well, thanks, Mike.
Sure.
Okay, Dave,
All right,
do I need to add bucket truck to the order?
yep, 60 footer. Just want to let the board know, we have pickup truck number 30, it's back and on the road, it got fixed. Problem is, once we got that back, dump truck 25, we had an issue with it, it's out of TSI right now, getting repaired, the rear end kind of started messing up on it, so it's one of them older trucks we have, but it's a pretty good little workhorse, so we're getting that fixed, it's a lot cheaper than a brand new one. We had to put a little bit of salt down on these last few little snows, just to let some of the residents know, it is what it is, I'm out for the safety of the people, I'm not trying to waste money, like I was told. We've been out fixing some potholes, we've been cutting down some trees in some areas.
With the potholes, I mean, the plants aren't open yet, right? So
The asphalt plants now,
are you using Durapatch or?
cold mix.
Cold mix?
Because right now, for the Durapatcher, it's tough because if you have like this, where you get it in one day, you can't use it for 2-3 days, and then it has a shelf life of 3 weeks. So this time of year it's tough. So trust me, we've been talking about getting it out, but it's just one of them. It's just, then you got to shut down a salt truck too.
Okay.
So, let's see. Right now I'm working on with the county, paperwork for paving projects. Hopefully by next trustee meeting, I'll be able to bring them forth to you and we'll get them out to bid. Also, since I sent this in, the commissioners did pass and dedicate Maple Crest Parkway and the Industrial Drive. They did pass that to us. So they are dedicated to us now. They are our roadways. And one other thing I need is the board's approval for QCI to inspect for the Klein Road Culvert project for a cost of $14,407.14. And the check will go to the county like normal. And then the county will give them the funds as they send in their bills and receipts.
I'm going to make that motion to approve the hiring of QCI inspector for the Clyde Road culvert project at a cost of $14,407.14. I need a second.
Second.
Okay, I'm glad you're hiring someone to do this, because that really,
Well, this has really helped us out over the years. I mean, we've been hiring these firms for all of our road projects and stuff, and they have been, I mean, they've been coming out great, so,
saving money.
yes.
What's the anticipated start date on that project?
Actually, we're having a pre-con meeting next Monday,
Okay.
and they're looking to hopefully start the project in April 1st, right in that area. The problem is right now, we're waiting for the gas company. The gas company has to move the gas line 5 feet out and around before we can put the piping and stuff in.
Where's this at on Klein Road?
It's right there at, them apartment complexes. If you go down past Troyer and Bull and all that down in the valley of the curve,
Okay.
it's right in that vicinity. It's the big culvert pipe there.
By Mr. Acres.
By Mesner, yeah, Mesner Acres are on one side, Troyer and then some.
Gotcha.
My park.
Thank you.
That part's
Can
gone.
they put their extra asphalt on
We won't have no extra asphalt.
about grindings?
Yeah, we won't have, this is all be chunked, unless you want the big chunks from the road with stuff thrown
I
on
was
there.
gonna say,
That's
there's
what we
already
want.
plenty of asphalt grinding there, trust me.
All those in favor, Mike? Yes. Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, that's all I got for
You're
reporting.
not ready to announce what allotments you're gonna be paving this year, right?
Not till I see the numbers. The numbers will be, I'll have the numbers hopefully within the next week, and then I'll go from there.
I tell you, they love that King's Ridge project.
That's good. Well, there's a couple, if everything goes well, we'll be doing close to another, number-wise, another 12 miles of road.
That's great.
I mean, not all paving now. Some's gonna be chip and seal, but majority will be chip and seal, but there's a few paved.
Thank God for the road levy.
Yep, if we lose that, we're back to pothole city.
Well, what we're waiting, because we've already determined what we want to do is make sure we get the pricing is already that we can still afford it, so.
What are you hearing? Is asphalt gonna be cheaper, or do you think? No?
No, everything's gonna be either quote, as close to the same price as last year, which is up to 10% increase. So, I mean, you hate to say our road levy, which may have to get bumped one day. I mean, we're at the point now where I'm actually using a lot for maintenance. Well, to keep our good roads good, we're slowly can't get more and more of the old roads caught up because we have so much maintenance money going into the newer roads that are done. Between crack sealing, chip and sealing, that kind of stuff to keep them ahead, so.
Okay, thanks, Dave.
Yep.
Hey, Cassie.
Good morning.
Good morning.
First, I want to thank Dave for helping me get some miscellaneous projects done for spring. I saw the guys out getting the baseball field ready for baseball season and helping me with some things with the pavilion. So thank you, Dave. Some old business updates. February program totals. We had 6 programs and 1 outreach event for a total of 73 engagements. And we had 21 community center uses in February. Last meeting, I discussed some improvements to the playground. Our steering wheel was missing. That has since been replaced. And the marble maze piece that was all rusted out on the inside has also been replaced. All the bolts and things have been tightened on that, so it'll be nice and safe. And then we ordered mulch that should be delivered this month. The mulch levels got pretty low, so those will be up to par now. Next item, we received a recommendation from the Oak Group to accept the bid for the parking lot improvement project for the town center fields from McBee Paving LLC in the amount of $108,979. So I'd like to request that approval from the board.
Okay, I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the Oak Group to accept the bid for the parking lot improvement project for town center fields from McBee Paving LLC in the amount of $108,979. I need a second.
Second discussion. The only thing I have on this, can we just make sure that McBee Paving, when they're doing the project, that they're not dumping any of the dirt onto the fields themselves? Because when they did the high school parking lot, the marching band field got used as kind of like a staging area, and that's the youth soccer association couldn't play soccer there anymore. There's just rocks everywhere and kids were spraining ankles. It was just a disaster. So I just want to make sure that when they're dumping material.
Dan was using
It's already been
field.
So no, we used to play up at the high school, and there's like a little marching band field right next to the
It's the middle school.
Middle school. Yeah, middle school, right across from the high school.
Okay.
When they did that high school parking lot, they dumped
I see.
all the dirt there, and then it left all these rocks behind, and it created a huge problem. Force one went to play once they cleared it all out. So I'm just asking if we can kind of make sure that's part of that they're not dumping on that field and destroying what's
We
been
did
built
already
up.
address that in the bid process.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just think we just need to make sure we monitor it too, is what I'm saying.
Yeah.
And just so everyone in the audience understands why we're doing this, we have the recreational fields, town center recreational fields, we have no parking. We are using
The doctor's office.
The doctor's office.
Plaza.
And
Well,
now,
they were directed to park at the school, but
Right,
it's park where they want to. The school.
but now they're also, the road behind the soccer fields now up on parallel to 76. How many apartments are going in, Mike?
On 70,
The Casino property?
103.
103. So what happens is, if you drive by there, you'll see them parked on both sides of the road. There's not a chance in hell that our ambulance is gonna get up there. So we need to create that. And plus, we have handicap issues and we have to provide parking for handicap. So we just, to have a field of that caliber, we need to have parking. So it's basically, we have to do this. It's a good thing to do, so. Okay.
All those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
Okay, thank you. New business updates. I provided you guys with the April through June program guide with all of our fun programs coming up. And speaking of fun programs, thank you, Joe, for helping me with this fun little project. So we now have a Parks Program Information Hotline. With our new phone system, we are able to do that. So I can put pre-recorded messages on there so that we can do live updates, say if there's updates for Brimfest, if a concert gets canceled and rescheduled, that kind of thing. I can quickly change those messages and people can call that number to get up-to-date information. So the number for that is BTPR Fund, so Brimfield Township Parks and Rec Fund, and there's the number there.
Oh, that's great.
So then I don't need approval for my intern because he found another internship, so we'll skip that item.
Was it, did you have a lot of people to choose from when you?
Just one.
Just one? Okay.
When's Irene?
When they graduate, so mid-May,
This
yeah.
coming
Did,
Tuesday.
I mean, you probably did, but did you check with Kent State about possibly one of their park and rec people?
I haven't, but I could.
That'd be a
We can
good
also
thing.
advertise it.
Yep.
We can put it out
Okay,
for advertisement.
yeah, I mean, it's such a, kind of, if you get a little partnership going with Kent State, they got so many kids that are so excited about going to school and having a 4-year vacation, we probably love to do it.
Did we reach out to Maplewood?
No, we haven't.
Because they got that ag program out there, they got a couple other little pieces that might tie into that.
Yeah, that could get pretty good.
Yeah, we've really enjoyed having Irene as an intern. I like the internship experience, so I think that's good for our department. The last item I have for board approval is the bid from American Fireworks for Brimfest 2024. So I reached out to 5 different fireworks companies, 2 of which didn't get back to me. One straight up said that it wasn't worth their time to come because they were from Cincinnati and it was too far to drive. And the other one recommended me to American Fireworks. So they provided a bid package, which is the same bid package as last year for the same price. So I'd like to request a motion to approve that package in the amount of $6,500.
Okay, I'm gonna make the motion to approve American Fireworks firework display package in the amount of $6,500 for this year's 2024 Brimfest.
Second for discussion, does that include a rain date? What happens?
I believe that's in the packet. I don't know that offhand.
It never rains in September.
Don't say that.
Well, you just jinxed it, it's your fault.
Well, Craig has enough bays, we could just have Brimfest in both bays.
You can't shoot fireworks.
Bring it back.
I know that is addressed in the bid packet somewhere. I just don't have that information
I
handy,
just
but I
want to make
can
sure it was
confirm.
covered in the bid package.
And then I did also want to say that they did not do a price increase for this year, and they've been keeping the price the same because we're repeat customers, so.
The second question I have, I actually just thought about as we're talking, cleanup afterwards. Is
Yeah.
that in there? Did we address that? Because I can tell you, after the last one, there was, the soccer board contacted me because they had a big weekend play.
Yeah.
And there was stuff everywhere.
I do
And there was a lot
remember
of complaints from visiting teams about all the debris on the field that was left over.
Yes, I can address that with them.
Okay, all those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed.
All right, thank you. And that concludes my report.
Hey, do you want to get these advertised? Give me a stack of them. I can put them up in the place. Okay?
I would like
Very
to have
nice.
some for you guys in part.
Okay, you hear that, Hannah? She's watching.
Okay, Joe.
I don't have a whole lot. The only thing I have is I did complete, I'm gonna call it phase 1 of the network upgrades at the police department. I replaced their main network switch and their wireless access points to give them a little bit more future capabilities and to better utilize the fiber internet connection that we installed last year. The only other things I would like to do is continue to work with Captain Atkins just to clean up their network, just some housekeeping, just so that way if we ever had a problem in the future, things are better identified and it's not as much of a spaghetti mess. As networks age, that tends to happen. You know, you do a lot of little changes, you end up with a bunch of wiring that isn't labeled or isn't as pretty as it should be. Just want to keep them in caliper. We've got a beautiful network in our new fire department, and I want to keep it, trying to match it in our police department and get them a nice.
Pretty good.
Yeah, oh yeah, everything's working great. Not heard any complaints. That upgrade happened yesterday, so there's some days to make sure things work out. But I'm
So
hopefully
you don't have to stress your head?
Hmm?
You don't have to stress your head before you're rebuilding it?
Yeah, it gives me better remote monitoring. This hardware has the ability to proactively alert me when there's a down situation. So if everything works as designed, I should know there's a problem before they even call me. So it's the same technology we're using in the fire department. It's monitored by a remote server, so it'll actually tell me when something's wrong or not responding. So I wouldn't have to wait for a phone call. I would know that, oh yeah, one of their access points is down, or they only have one switch. So, but the switch goes down, I would know about it and be able to be en route before they even told me there was a problem. So it just gives me a little bit more monitoring of issues. And the switch has some capabilities to proactively cause problems. Let's say one of the computers decides to act up. If it notices bad traffic, it'll actually turn off that individual computer. And so instead of taking the entire network down. So it has some improved logic as part of it. So it's just better.
You really are smart.
I appreciate it.
Thank you
So
for joining us.
yeah, that's all I have is, just trying to, as I'm able to, upgrade things a little bit at a time.
We truly appreciate you. All of you.
So that's all I got.
Okay. Thank you, Joe. Cemetery.
We're working on finalizing all the arrangements for the Memorial Day program. It's going to start at 8:00 in the cemetery. And then you can go to the Methodist Church, the Boy Scouts are having pancake breakfast. And then at 10:00, we go down to Suffield and enjoy their Memorial Day parade.
And I think you should speak this year.
You think?
Yes,
Oh, I'm a good talker. I can do that too.
3 minutes. Yeah, I think you ought to speak. Because you're so involved in the cemetery.
I'll consider,
I think
think
that's
about
a
it.
yes on it.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
We do have a bugle player too. That was one of our, Jenny had received confirmation from the school that there's a bugle player to do taps. We had an issue with that for a while, but that's been resolved.
Oh, I can kind of tell you something about the cemetery. We've had a donation. A couple of years in a row, we've had difficulty finding somebody to play taps for us. And we've had a bugle or a cornet donated to us, and the taps is recorded right into the thing, so I could even play that. I can hold this up, push this button, and we could all hear taps.
You're gonna hit the wrong button. You're gonna be playing when the Saints come marching in.
Very, very much appreciated. That's our plan B.
I can play it on the guitar.
Yes,
You're gonna have your hat on?
yes, problem.
Okay, good. Well, thank you.
Do we have an update on the flag box? Remember we had removed the flag box and the Boy Scouts were looking into that?
I have not heard back from him, so I've
Okay.
reached out twice now, but I haven't heard back on what their plan is.
Okay.
Hey, John?
We have a couple things here. We have, and this has been discussion for Q
Thanks for the,
appropriation sheet.
yeah, thank you.
We'll get to that in a minute here. The Kent JED Board appointment. We received a letter. Craig actually has resigned his position from the Kent JED Board due to the fact that he's he's just doing the fire department side. So we have to assign a person from Brimfield to take that spot. So I'm gonna need a motion for someone to appoint a new Kent JED Board member.
I'm gonna make a motion that we approve Point Holly as our rep for the county JED board.
I'll second that.
You okay with it, Holly?
Thank you, Craig, for your service on there. Appreciate it.
Yeah, no problem. Again, I think just to reiterate, my time is best served other places at this point, so, Holly would be a good choice. Sorry, Holly.
So you can sort of let her, or someone, I don't think, there's already been one meeting, right, so we got another, you'll have to find out.
She's gonna go right into it because she's the chairman.
Is it? She's the chairman?
She moves
That
right
was
into
my
the chairman's
role,
role.
so-
I have the date, I'll send you an email. Thank you.
All those in favor, Mike, Sue,
Yes.
Nick,
Yes.
motion passed. All right, the second thing, we have a motion that's currently outstanding on our cell tower. The cell tower that we actually don't even own anymore. It's the tower at the road crew garage. In regards to having an ex-employee's name listed as having authorization to be on the usage of that tower. So I guess we just want to take that away and just make it whoever the current IT director is would have access to it. There's a small building that's there, and I believe you've got a key already to it. Thanks, Craig, for getting that to him. There's a small fire building that controls one of the repeaters that's up there. And I believe there's actually a ham radio.
There is a ham
receiver
radio,
that's on there.
VHF repeater in there that's used by local hobbyists.
We had a motion passed that if we allowed it to be put on the tower at the road crew garage, which is a totally different thing. But it's actually on the cell phone tower. So what I want to do is just take that person's name off of that and make it whoever the current IT person is. So if it's something down the road, Joe wins the lottery and he's not here, it just goes right to the next person.
Just associate with the IT director.
Yeah.
Okay, you gonna make that motion?
Second?
I will second that.
Yeah, all those in favor, Mike,
Yes.
Sue,
Yes.
Nick.
Yes.
Motion passed, thank you. The third thing that's out here is the appropriation sheet. If you remember the last meeting, Mike, you were out of town, but Craig got sick. Whatever he had, the scurvy or whatever he had, he was not available. So we were gonna approve the budget at the last meeting, the appropriations. The budget's already at the county, that's one of my responsibilities. But what has happened here with the appropriations is we've met with all the department heads. Craig was the one that we had to cancel to get done. All of those have been done now, so we've worked within the departments with their money on how much they have to spend and what they're planning on spending. That's how we've broken the appropriations around. Please keep in mind that on these appropriations, they're only what the fund balance allows. So if we don't collect that much money, we can't spend that money in appropriations. If we collect more money than the budget allowed or the appropriations allowed, we have to go back to the Portage County Budget Commission to get that approved, to be able to spend that. Where this money is broken down within these is kind of just our guide on how we make sure we have enough money for everything. But at any time, if we decide to change a project, if the department head, I'll just pick on Dave right now, if he decided one of our roads blew up and he needed to do something different, we can move the appropriations around internally. We just can't increase them more than the amount that they are. But if we wanted to put it under repairs and maintenance instead of contracted services, we can move that.
So what is our total budget?
It's 13.4,
4 million.
which is again, carryover balances, estimated taxes and estimated revenues for the current calendar year. And those are estimated, the revenues. So like with Craig, Light Force Development, it's an estimate on how much we think we're going to collect. So if we put $1 million just to make it easy out there and we collected 900,000, we're only allowed to spend 900,000 of that.
You know, we collected more at something which increased.
Oh, with the fire or the police, their renewal or the replacement levy, we didn't find out what that number was until January. So that got put in the budget stuff. So that actually increased the police budget. So that was, and everybody should have got the spreadsheet stuff that I shot over with all that makeup of how it got where it got.
So it was just the police that done that.
They have additional levy dollars then. We didn't know exactly what they were going to be until January of 24. So,
John, if police levy brings in 8 million, we budgeted for 8 million, it brings in 9 million for some reason, right?
Yep.
And the fire levy was budgeted for 9 million, we only bring in 8 million. Do we still have to go back and reappropriate them because those lines didn't bring in, or do those numbers float?
No,
It's just the total number.
with the police, if they brought in 9, but we had them in there for 8, we can only spend 8 unless we go back to the budget commission and say, hey, we got an extra $1 million, please appropriate that amount, and then we can spend it. Usually what happens in a scenario like that, we might find out in November or December. If we don't do anything with that money, it just goes into the carryover balance for the next year, so it becomes part of the next balance. This isn't like a marketing department where we give you $10,000 to spend, and if you don't spend it, it goes away. They don't lose any of their money. So if we underestimated how much we're going to receive, it just goes to the next year. In Craig's, just the fire example that you made up, if we had put 9 million and only 8 million showed up, we're only allowed to spend that $8 million. So fire would have to readjust how they have this all set up because we didn't collect enough monies. So those are good questions, but that's how that works. So it has gone, we've all met, Dave, PD, fire, roads, we've all met with where their fund dollars are gonna go, and we have a plan. So plan's only as good as today, and what comes in and what goes out, and what issues we have, that pop up throughout the year. But this gives them a tool, a guide, a way to make sure they know where their dollars and what they can afford. So
We need a plan on what we're gonna do with some of this Talmadge jet, M&I money.
Well,
we have lots of expenditures out there.
I say stand by for that. There'll be something coming maybe the next meeting or the following.
Well, and one of the things that we have expenditures for each department that we use, but when Craig and I were just talking the other day, we have to figure out how we can afford some of these things. So some things are coming off. He has a vehicle that's coming off, which we would replace. It's just, there's a lot of those.
Yeah.
We just gotta make sure they afford the improvement.
Right, yeah, and we're just trying to look at how we keep levies down, so.
Right.
Working through
As
some
long
of
as
those.
they benefit the jets.
Yeah, and it would just help keep levy dollars down, so.
And we have a change in the jet and that's coming up this year, an increase in the amount. So I unfortunately are
This year, next year.
24.
It's 2025, I can't remember. That would take it up to,
Or 20.
I don't know, that'll put
I'll
it
double
up,
check.
it'll put it up to 2%.
It will be the full amount. But what we also, and I do this on purpose, just because I don't want to overspend what we have dollars coming in that probably more than I put out there, just because of all the new businesses moving in, and I don't want to guesstimate and have us go out and spend all that money and then find out that we didn't collect that much. So we kind of stay a year behind on that, just to kind of.
It's also important to note for the public that a lot of times these budgets are on a curve. Like we know that the police is gonna start to see a surplus, but as that 5-year period goes, that surplus goes away. So it's really designed to build them up, and then it kind of back ends down because of their expenditures. So sometimes people see like a surplus that's higher. There's a reason for that, because we project it out to where we need to be.
Well, and then one of the issues that we have right now is that we have continuous growth. We're not a community that is losing businesses and losing population where we have to reduce the amount of money. We just keep bringing more and more in, which require more police, fire, roads, all that kind of stuff. So that JED's been helping us over the years to kind of keep up with unexpected or expected expenditures that we wouldn't have been able to purchase in the past, but the M&I has allowed us to do that, which has helped all three of the departments.
Well, yeah, we get 30% of that.
Well, no, that's the JED, but the M&I is what we've been bringing
Right,
up.
okay, yeah, the jet, you get 30, and you get a whole 10%.
And M&I helps though. I think if
Right.
we use it the right ways, we keep some levies down.
Right, but we gotta get Kent kicking in. I mean, Mike, is the Kent jet doesn't go at the same time as the Talmadge one, right?
No, I think they're coinciding. I believe so.
I had that contract sitting there. I just said, forget it, where I am half the time.
We haven't even worked. Well, let's see, so we're already getting the revenue from the nursing home.
Yeah, and you got several coming in. You got 107
So we'll start.
units with that, and then you have sheets coming in, and you have apartments coming in, and drug mart coming in, and you got a lot that's going to go into the Kent jet as well.
Well, and just another key part of our budget, we have tax incentive financing stuff that is helping the PD right now from the Maple Crest TIF, helps the Park and Rec program over there, and any of the new projects that Mike's putting in, he can, depending on what they are, he can add a TIF to them, which then he has to assign. The money that we get for the PD right now is because of the increased police patrol down at Cascades and Myers and Menards and all that, Maple Crest. So that was for police protection. I think that's exactly what it was. Payroll, as might it would have been for police. But it has to be specified in there what it's for. So that's when it's key when Mike puts those together, especially if we're trying to do a lighting district or we're trying to do whatever we do, we just name it in that TIF. So, but those are other avenues that we have of revenues as well. But
Because when you go to the Talmadge jet meeting, that one question you're gonna ask you is what are we doing with the money?
Right.
So we have to make sure we do it. I'm sure it's nice to be keep it, but we gotta spend it and use it.
Oh yeah, I think we have a good spending plan.
Okay. Okay, so I'm gonna make a motion that we approve the permanent 2024 appropriations. Need a second.
Thanks.
Any more questions?
all those in favor, Mike?
Yes.
Sue?
Yes.
Nick?
Yes.
Motion passed. Thank you.
Okay, well, that's the end of the meeting. Do we have any last?
Before we go to the order, I just had a question.
Okay, go ahead, go ahead.
Holly, what's the status on home rule? I know we talked about this and you were reaching out, I just wanted to make sure.
I had things done up from Mark Cavetti that explained it on.
When, it wasn't, I didn't get that in my email.
Yeah, it went to all of us. It was, Holly, did you find that?
Well, so I know that he gave you guys some information previously. I did ask him to resend it, so I don't know if he sent it today, but he was gonna resend it. I know he gave a presentation
Nick, I
on
don't
it.
want to cut you off, but my suggestion is, I mean, this is something, we've all talked about moving forward.
Right.
Maybe we set up a special meeting and bring him down.
Well, that's why I just want to make sure we're starting to make some steps in that direction, because Holly and I have talked about it
I
at the
think-
last meeting.
They have to be registered. It'd be part of the meeting.
Right.
Because there's so many questions and so many things have changed since he's done it.
Well, that was my concern, that we had looked at this years ago. Did we reach out to Mark? Are we starting that process just for information gathering so that we can start to say, these are the action steps? Is this something that we can take on or not?
We have this tremendous growth thing, and you know what we're missing? We're missing those impact fees. We cannot get any impact fees in the township.
Right.
If we do the home rule, we get impact fees, but like I told you before, we all talked about, this whole thing is gonna be an educational process, because you're gonna have everyone coming around saying we're taking their guns from them.
Oh, yeah.
And all this stuff, and it has nothing to do, it just basically gives us a level playing field with cities.
Right. No, I agree. I just want to see, I think we just need to be all on the same information page of,
Well, do you wanna contact Mark and try to set up a time for us to meet?
do we want to do this as a special meeting? Do we want to bring it into a regular meeting? How do we want to
I
handle
think
that?
it'd be good for the public to hear.
Right, that's what I'm saying, but do we want to hold it during a regular morning trustee meeting?
I
or do we want to do a
don't
special?
know, regular meeting.
We're a special meeting, so maybe I guess
Maybe
we want
after.
to, yeah, so that it's just dedicated to that subject, because it could last a good hour or so.
But I would recommend inviting residents.
Well, yeah, no, I want it open to the
Yeah, it'll be
residents, right?
open.
But I'm just saying, is this a better evening meeting? Is this a better day meeting? That we go through this, because there's gonna be questions in this way, we're completely transparent on how we're doing it.
Well, I'm good with whatever you want, but we all need to understand it.
Right.
The changes and all that, so.
Let me,
So maybe when you talk to him, maybe he should update it, because, it happened, a year or two ago, you remember that, John?
It's been that way, yeah.
I did ask it, we
It's right
should have,
after COVID.
we should have an email from him, so I did meet with him last week, as I mentioned to Nick, and I did ask him to send an update, just kind of an overview, pros, cons, first step, so we should have that soon from him as well, and we can talk about the special
Right,
meeting.
because I know they changed the law director, no longer, it can be part-time,
right,
so, yeah.
so I just want to see if we're moving in that direction, so I'll reach out to him too, to see if we can put together like an hour Q&A. He can give maybe a presentation, and we can start to ask questions based on that.
Oh, and I tell you, I definitely have to make sure it's filmed and get it out to the public, because that's gonna be the biggest thing.
Right.
Because I don't even remember the mechanism. Does it take 3 trustees to approve it? or-
Well, we had to be at 15,000 residents, and all 3 can unanimously enact it, but because census data didn't come back at that, now it has to go on the ballot, which means in order to do this, we need to educate ourselves and then sit down with finance and say, can we afford the additional cost that we're gonna incur? Again, we get some money on the back end, but can we float that up front?
We have a law director, we have to.
Yeah.
Part-time, so,
Still there.
And then can we, beyond that, can we advertise and educate the public enough to get it on the ballot appropriately?
yeah. And in our law director, unless I'm mistaken, it can be Chad Murdoch. It can be, it's nobody special. I mean, they are special, you know what I mean?
Well, and what that would do for us too, I mean, we already pay for legal fees for multiple attorneys. If we just had one that was in-house now, then
Might be able to narrow that
get rid
down.
of some of those expenditures.
Yeah, Mark did confirm, since we're under 15,000, the trustees would have to pass a resolution to put it on the ballot for the next general election. The biggest thing I took from my discussion with him is we really need to assess what our current needs are and determine if home rule would accomplish this. The biggest question is, where are we restricted by not having home rule? Currently, there are only 8 townships out of over 1,300 in Ohio that have home rule, because it is a pretty big endeavor and it's expensive.
And a lot.
There's a lot of cost that has to be passed on to the residents to do that.
But I think that's where if we can get him in, we can do that needs, wants assessment and have a guided, intelligent conversation about, because he can talk us through, well, what are you trying to accomplish? These are our barriers, these are our needs, these are our wants.
I mean, the first thing I heard was that you help us pass a noise resolution.
which is great, but if it's gonna cost us millions of dollars to do it, then what's
Well,
the
that's why
ROI?
I think the sooner than later we ought to do this.
Right.
Just, so we can decide one way or another, because it's been on the back of my mind for too long, I know it's on your mind.
Yeah, because we looked at it and then it fell off because, honestly, we stopped looking at it because we were waiting for the census, and then that census data is a mess.
And we didn't have Holly. Thanks, Holly.
Thank you.
Okay. No, we good?
Yeah, that's why, I forgot to ask that, where the
Okay,
address.
that's good. I'm gonna open it up to the floor.
I've got something to say. First, I'd like to thank the trustees for making a very, very smart decision in regards to safety today, tabling that and kind of pushing it more toward Chief Malali's side of expertise, because he's got 10 times more experience than we will ever have. Yeah, because he's the expert in that field, and it's very, very important to have him at the table making that final decision. Secondarily, in regards to, I think it's Mr. Anderson sitting up front, you had mentioned Dussel Farm. Yeah, kind of gives me the impression you didn't really know it's Dussel Farm. But he had said specifically that it took a half an hour for other fire departments outside of our own to arrive at that fire. And I said 20 minutes, which was 10 minutes less than that.
They were there so quick.
That's all that I have to say, but thank you guys again for making a wise decision.
Chuck, it's something else to think about it, and I'm not telling you I agree or disagree with it. But we talk about the 60-foot right of way here and how the fire department protection is for these people up there. What are they doing in Columbus when they have a 50-foot building? Or, yeah, 50 stories. How do they take care of that? I mean, there's a way that's limiting this to, what, 60 feet? Doesn't make any sense to me. If you go higher, they have different, you know that. They have different fire protection things in there. And why we sit here and argue about it, I don't understand it. When we have the other cities, they can do something that we can't do it. I don't understand it all together. It's just something I want you to think about. And home rule. You know, you and I talked about this a lot. Road department. Extremely expensive. Is it? Yeah, we take all the county roads, that's my understanding.
I think they changed that, don't quote me on that, but some of that changed, yeah.
Yeah, it has changed a lot. I haven't done that in a while. Just make sure you come to that meeting.
Mike, I got two things. They tore down the house down on Dorley, and Hellman did an excellent job. Okay. The second thing is, when Joe builds his new building, he's gonna put a chair with my name above it. Right.
With the dartboard on it.
Mike knows how it's gonna be.
Gotta give him a smiling
Oh, yeah.
picture of your face.
Those axe throwing things, they're right there.
Oh, that would be, Joe, that would be a good marketing
Right.
thing. He needs to have an axe throwing.
Right.
Remember, restaurant business is entertainment.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Hey, that's a good one. Okay, any more questions? Thanks, everyone, for coming. Yeah, I'm gonna make a motion and go ahead and do that this week.
I'll second that.
Yeah.
Give a second. I get a second?
I second.
Oh, okay. All those in favor, Mike, Sue, Nick?
Yes.
A motion passed, we're adjourned at 10:13. We still have a meeting going, by the way. Sorry, that's all right, we were trying, I couldn't even hear the votes.
Yes, there was, I voted yes.
Okay, all those in favor? Yes. 10:13, we are adjourned.
You know that, Nick?